Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Ghana becomes the first country to receive COVID-19 vaccine stock as part of the World Health Organization's Covax scheme, aimed at levelling the playing field between countries as poorer nations trail behind others in sourcing immunisations against the virus. Also, Italy seeks a UN probe into the killing this week of its ambassador to DR Congo. Congolese authorities have already launched their own probe and say that they're prepared to work with international experts to find out what happened. And volunteers in Zanzibar band together to save as many injured turtles as they can and nurse them back to health. Then, once a year, they return the animals to the ocean. This year, we were there. But first, on Wednesday morning, Ghana became the first country to receive COVID-19 vaccines under the World Health Organization's global Covax scheme. 600,000 free AstraZeneca doses were shipped from Mumbai to Accra. The first delivery out of a total of 2.4 million Covax jabs planned for the country. Now, Wednesday's delivery was a welcome one, as the continent's struggling to catch up with vaccination drives that in comparison to wealthier parts of the world. Nathan Kwao tells us more.
The broad idea is to vaccinate people between now and October. Initially, the government is going to target health workers, frontline health workers, people who are over 60, people with underlying conditions, people of the legislature, judiciary, some religious leaders, of course, people at the presidency, some initial workers, and then people in such groups. They are the first people to get the jab, and then the rollout will affect the more general population from that point. So what will happen is that you have places in Accra and Kumasi and places like Kaswa and places where there was the lockdown or places where the COVID cases are their highest. Those are the places that government will target, and then they'll start the jabs from there, and then the rest of the population will get that between now and October. There are lots of people who aren't too sure, whether or not they will take the jab. There are all kinds of crazy rumors flying about. People want to see government officials take the jabs before they will take it. People want their pastors or their religious leaders to take the jabs first. People want their favorite radio presenters to take the jabs first before they will, because there's a lot of uncertainty. To be honest, government hasn't done a lot in terms of the education. The sensitization is a little low. And so people are feeding on all kinds of information they can find. And that is leading people to doubt or putting people in a gray area in terms of whether or not they want to take the vaccine. Of course, there are people who are willing to take. And the hope is that a lot more people will be more open to the idea of taking the COVID vaccine.
Nathan Kwao there for us. Now, DR Congo has launched an investigation into the attack on a World Food Programme convoy in which 3 people, including Italy's ambassador, were killed this week. Congolese authorities say that they're prepared to work with international experts to find out exactly what happened. A team of Italian police have already set out to DR Congo. Meanwhile, Rome is also asking for a UN probe into the security arrangements for that fatal journey. Kinshasa says that foreign diplomats now have to inform it of their movements outside of the capital. Our correspondent Clément Bonnereau has the details.
A special security meeting was held in Goma this Wednesday with President Félix Tshisekedi's senior diplomatic advisor, the governor of North Kivu, and Congolese security services. Kinshasa says it will send a team of experts to North Kivu to investigate the murder of the Italian ambassador, his bodyguard, and a UN driver that took place on Monday.
Les enquêtes ont déjà commencé avec les services spécialisés qui sont en province, mais ces enquêtes vont être confortées par une délégation qui viendra de Kinshasa. Mais nous sommes un pays qui a de très bonnes relations avec l'Italie. Tout devra se régler dans un cadre diplomatique.
Congolese authorities have blamed the attack on the FDLR, a group originally from Rwanda, which is led by Hutu extremists. The FDLR, however, have denied any involvement. Meanwhile, the Italian government has asked the UN for an investigation into the security arrangements put in place by the World Food Programme.
La missione si è svolta su invito delle Nazioni Unite, quindi anche il percorso in auto si è svolto nel quadro organizzativo predisposto dal Programma Alimentare Mondiale.
Congolese authorities have also announced new restrictions on the movement of foreign diplomats in the DRC. They will now have to inform the Congolese Ministry of Foreign Affairs every time they travel outside of Kinshasa. The Congolese government insists that it wasn't aware of the presence of the Italian ambassador in North Kivu.
Clément Dibonero there for us. Now, at least 10 people have been killed in northeastern Nigeria following fighting between soldiers and militants in the capital of Borno State. In the worst attack it's seen in a year, rocket-propelled grenades pounded Maiduguri late Tuesday. Suspected Boko Haram extremists targeted densely populated neighborhoods on the outskirts of the city. It's where Boko Haram was founded, and it continues to be frequently attacks. No group has yet claimed responsibility for Tuesday's violence. Now, one of Zimbabwe's two vice presidents has said that a recording that has seen him face allegations of sexual harassment is a fake. A scandal's been brewing ever since a website posted what it claims is leaked audio of Kembo Mohadi having explicit conversations with two married women. Now, he claims that his voice was cloned. The 71-year-old VP denies abusing his authority and has refused calls for his resignation. He says that he's being politically targeted. Ryan Truscott with more.
This story has gripped Zimbabwean Twitter for a week now. Online news platform Zim Live posted recordings of phone conversations purportedly between Vice President Kembo Mohadi and two younger married women, including one alleged to work in his office. That led to allegations of sexual harassment and abuse of office from rights groups. The Vice President held a press conference Wednesday in which he vehemently denied having had the conversations and insisted that the recordings are false. Mohadi says his right to privacy has been trashed and that the allegations are designed to tarnish his political image. From the responses I've seen on social media, his statement hasn't laid all suspicion to rest. I'd say there are real questions here about the political machinations Mohadi says he's a victim of. Who is behind the making or leaking of this audio? What's also of note is the fierce debates this whole incident has opened up around consent, abuse of power, and the way women in a difficult economic situation might be exploited by older men in positions of authority. These tapes were posted as the hashtag Being Young in Zim was trending. Young people were lamenting the lack of opportunities for them in Zimbabwe. Many graduates and young people, even into their early 30s, have never had a formal job or a pay slip in a country where the formal sector employs less than 20% of the working population. The tapes have sparked outrage and conversations about the vulnerability of young professional women in Zimbabwe to sexual exploitation in the corridors of power.
Now, every February, environmentalists in Zanzibar celebrate an annual turtle release day. Many of the animals die because of pollution, choking on plastic or getting stuck in fishing nets. So volunteers band together to save as many as they can and then nurse them back to health. Then, once a year, they return the animals to the ocean. Shirley Sitbin with more.
2, 3.
Turtles are rarely quick, even when racing to the ocean. And this bunch is particularly slow. These animals have been injured and healed. The ceremony is their long-awaited release. It's organized once a year.
The small turtles we release from Kendwa Beach so that they have the opportunity to walk back into the ocean, and that way they remember where they were born, and in 20 years' time, hopefully, they come back and the whole process starts again.
One of the top threats to turtles is plastic. With their bad eyesight, turtles often swallow plastic, mistaking it for food, and eventually they die. They're also cut in fishing nets or are poached. But Zanzibar residents have been increasingly caring with the animals.
The fishermen now bring in the turtles to the aquarium, so if they are unfortunately caught in their nets, they now bring them in so that they can be nurtured back to health.
Turtles attract tourists, which means more jobs and income to local businesses. They also eat algae, which can be invasive, and they eat jellyfish, which have proliferated across the world in recent years. Whatever the reason for appreciating turtles, there are always people thrilled to bring them back into the wild.
Now, 5 designers with African backgrounds made their debut at Milan Fashion Week on Wednesday. Nigeria's Joy Meribi, Burundi's Fabiola Manirakazia, Morocco's Karim Daoudi, Pape Makadou Fall from Senegal, and Cameroon's Giselle Nsama make up the crew that has been dubbed the Fab Five. Now, they're the first crop of creatives to come through a collaboration between the National Chamber of Italian Fashion and the Black Lives Matter in Italian fashion movement. So congratulations to all of them for their collections. That is it for now for Eye on Africa, and we'll be leaving you with a sample of their runway shows. Enjoy.
Where do I start? I ask myself, how do I write this song? What do I say? Who do I speak to? And are you willing to listen? Another month for my rent due. Got to find a way to pay my bills too. And now I'm too close to my deadline. 9 a.m. coffee scent, phone in my hand. Today is nothing new to say. Thought I had left every word on a message with you. Didn't want me to. Wasn't planned your request. 7th of May, we could be cutting down the space. Heard your version of my story, thank you next. I understand.